And a lot of this stuff is going to continue to grow and evolve because of AI. I would also recommend that people test things out, dive in the deep end. You can't break this stuff, you can play around with it, think outside the box, watch a YouTube video for a demo on something. It might take 5 minutes, but then you've just leveled up in that particular thing. This AI is here to stay.
You're listening to The Growth Booth, the show focused on achieving lifestyle freedom through online businesses. Whether you're looking for step-by-step strategies to start building an online business, simple game plans to grow your business, or proven lifestyle freedom frameworks, you are in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the thousands of listeners already in growth mode.
Aidan Booth here, welcome to The Growth Booth. This is episode number 104. Happy New Year. I can't believe that it's January 2024 already, and what a 12 months it's been. I think one of the biggest things that we've seen over the past 12 months has been the development of AI, artificial intelligence, and that's what we're going to be talking about today on this episode. I'm joined here by Bonnie, who has been on episodes with us in the past, and she, like me, is a massive enthusiast when it comes to artificial intelligence and figuring out how we can use this to improve our lives, improve our businesses. And we're going to be talking today a little bit about some of our favorite tools. So Bonnie, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Aidan. It's a pleasure.
So we're going to be talking about a pretty broad spectrum of different tools and bits and pieces here today. And first thing I'll say is that many of these are free. So that's pretty cool. Where do we start here, Bonnie? I mean, there's so many different places that we could dive in.
Well, we use AI for so many practical applications in content writing, image creation, social media, quick Excel graphics, and for general organization. I realized that this is a podcast, so we'll be talking about these tools. Maybe in the future, Aidan, we can deep dive into each one of these tools in further videos to help our people.
Yeah, for sure.
But you've looked into Max AI, and I'd really like to hear more about how you found that really useful.
This is one of the first ones that I sort of had on the list here, and it's in relation to customer support. So we've got a lot of different buckets of customer support in our business, obviously for people who buy courses and training programs through us, but then all of our e-commerce businesses and brands have customer support as well. And this is a tool that I've only found out about in the past couple of months, max.ai, MAAX.ai. And it has the ability to streamline customer support. And one of the things it can do is you can feed it information, which could be through PDFs, it could be through videos. Max can then learn what the content is. And if a customer emails you about something, then it can give an automated, intuitive, and dynamic reply based on what's being asked. So if you imagine from an e-commerce standpoint, or let's say even simpler, from an online education standpoint, let's say that you are someone who's invested in one of the training programs that we've put out, and you need to learn or you need to find out where something was in the training, or what was the best practice guideline for doing something. You could write in a question and get an automated reply from max.ai. We're starting to incorporate this into different parts of the business. We haven't actually built it into online education support yet, but in the future it's something that we would love to do, not just because it provides a faster reply to the customer, but because it can sometimes provide a better reply. And there's a way that you can sort of combine the human element with the AI element. So for example, you can have this tool create draft replies for you without actually sending them, and then a human can read through them and hit the send button if it makes sense. So this is one that we've got in the world of customer support that not that many people know about. It's still not on the radar for most people out there, but I actually met the founder of one of the co-founders of Max.ai recently in person, and I was completely blown away. And so we've started building it into some of our business. Something else, though, that I think a lot of our listeners will be able to relate to and use is AI art and branding. So what have been your sort of favorite discoveries in the world of AI with art and branding, graphic creation, Bonnie?
Yeah, well, AI art and branding are what we call text to image models. And so we've been looking into Midjourney, DALL-E 2, and the Bing image creator. And to be honest, in terms of output, we love Midjourney. And DALL-E 2 is coming up the rear. And what I think about DALL-E 2 is it's much easier to onboard with, because you don't have to go through Discord, the Discord server. So you go through the Discord server for Midjourney, and all you type in is /imagine. And it's a / anyway, it you can then add a prompt that will say, say you upload an image, and the image can be translated to a bicycle with a screen that is either, you can have all sorts of, like, for February we could have a Valentine's Day background for.
You can get actually you can actually get very creative with them. You could say, for example, /imagine a boy sitting on a hoverboard in the middle of the Sahara Desert eating ice cream. And it would go out there, it would go and in a matter of moments sort of create that, fictitious image. I think to your point about Discord, for people that are not familiar with it, it's a platform that Midjourney requires that you use. And for me, that's Midjourney's biggest weakness, because it's not as user-friendly as DALL-E or the Bing image creator.
Well, for DALL-E 2, all you do is you can create a prompt. You can ask GPT-4 to create a prompt for you, or ChatGPT, and you then put that prompt into DALL-E 2 to get the output that you want. And the beauty of putting it into GPT-4 is that it knows it's the same OpenAI.com, same creators, if you like, of ChatGPT and GPT-4 that have created DALL-E 2. So it's they know what to say to their text-to-image, the text-to-image application of their OpenAI.com platform to give you the best output, essentially.
Bing Image Creator is probably the simplest of the three, in my opinion, because that is, if you just do a Google search for Bing Image Creator, you'll be able to open that up, and it just says, what do you want to design? Basically, what do you want to create? And again, you could do the same thing. You could type, a boy floating on a hoverboard in the middle of the Sahara Desert eating ice cream, and it would go out there and make you something. And you can get even more specific by talking about a style of design. You could say, watercolor, or you could say pencil sketch, or any number of different things. So Bing Image Creator, I think, is one that's for the everyday user is absolutely incredible. Do you stick to one of these, Bonnie, when you're doing image design, or do you flip between different ones? What's your idea there?
Well, I tend to test all of them, all the output for the best image. And because in the past, DALL-E has been not very good at creating detail, like fingers. If you're asking them to create a person, and the person comes out with anyway, it's getting better. It's not like that anymore, but it's still a little bit less perfect than Midjourney. But it's it's just amazing to have the capability of this tool to create images that you wouldn't. But I remember uploading a Monet print to I said do the Monet watercolor print in the style of a tangerine sunset. So, and it came out so beautifully.
Yeah.
And it just, all the, we haven't really touched the surface of what the capabilities are, as a layperson, as it were.
And also, there's so many practical uses to the art and branding and images that you can create with these tools. I mean, you can use them in social media marketing for practically anything. You can use it in image design. You could create logos with it. And in fact, Argentina, towards the end of last year, had their presidential elections. And they were billed as the first AI elections because both of the main candidates were creating propaganda, political propaganda style images on billboards. We had, the left wing, and in fact, it was they found out, or they shared what some of the prompts were, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but one of the left wing parties was. After Sovietic, I should say, inspired propaganda images showing a sign of strength and unity, kind of a thing. I saw another one where the right-wing candidate had a picture of himself and the left-wing candidate looked like someone who was out of The Walking Dead. Like they looked like a zombie, basically. And he was trying to portray two different futures there. And this was on a massive, gigantic billboard on the side of the highway. So there have been some interesting write-ups about, it being the first governmental election happened down here in Argentina last year. On to another practical use of AI, and this is one of the most, I would say, simple and straightforward ones of all, is copywriting. So with regards to copywriting or generating content in general, what are the options? Where do we start? How do you go about this, Bonnie?
So we started with ChatGPT, and that was GPT-3 and then GPT 3.5. And now we've got GPT-4, which is the paid version, which is about $21 or so a month. So that's super helpful, and it's it's more advanced in a lot of ways than its competitors. However, it doesn't have the correct information after 2022. So you really need something like Bing.com with it in order. So when you on board with GPT-4, you've got Bing.com. So you've got the ability to search and scrape the web for new information, or you can sort of look at websites and such.
I thought ChatGPT-4 was now actually able to scrape the web. I may be wrong.
Yeah, because it's got that Bing feature within it now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's
But
actually used by default inside ChatGPT-4 now. Like if you're asking for something current, by default, it will use that Bing feature and actually be not scraping, but reading content.
Yeah, the last time I saw it there was a toggle switch, but it could have been,
Right.
It
changes all the time, and it's hard to even keep up, and we're using it every single day. In fact, sometimes they roll out new features, and there's like a pop-up that'll say something new has happened, and I barely even read it, and then some new feature has just been built in. Like I can remember a few months ago they had the voice to text thing where you can if I've got, like, for example, the ChatGPT-4 app on my phone, and if I want to ask it a question, I can verbally do it, and that'll transcribe it into text, and it'll ask the question. This is just a new feature that just sort of appeared one day. So there's all kinds of different things. Something else, though, that has been very cool is, and I think this is Bard's unique differentiator at this point, is watching videos for you. Have you played around with that, Bonnie?
Yes, and it provides a nice summary. It provides a sort of a synopsis of the video. So it's great for consuming content, if that's part of your job, if you like, and if you really want to, be in that perpetual growth phase, to keep abreast with all the latest information. So yeah, it's something that's pretty useful for me.
You know what I did recently is I got the YouTube version of one of our recent podcast episodes. And if you're not familiar, all of the episodes that we do on the Growth Booth are uploaded to YouTube as well. So you can always head over to YouTube and search for the Growth Booth and you'll find the videos. So I grabbed the YouTube URL of one of our recent episodes. I copied it into Bard and I said, give me an overview of the key points covered in this video, and in a couple of seconds later it comes back with a bullet point breakdown of what was covered in that particular
Amazing.
podcast episode. I then went back to Bart and I said, this is great, can you dive a little bit deeper? And it dove deeper and gave me more information. So that was me just playing around and testing it out, because I knew exactly what the content of that episode, that podcast episode was, obviously, because I had filmed it. And it works incredibly well. And what blows my mind is how quickly it brings that information back to you. It's obviously it's already got the information. Google's already got the information. Bard is part of Google, and yeah, within a couple of seconds. So that's one that I think everyone needs to test out for themselves at some point.
It's yeah, as I say, it's great for consuming lots of information super quickly, and if you if you need some advice, legal advice or medical advice, you can just you can go to the videos that provide that sort of advice. And like, I needed some information about, it's the first year I've got my own LLC in the United States, so I needed some information about what to do at the year end. So I've now got a bullet point summary of that, and that's super helpful.
Yeah, and it used to be the way that I would be able to capture this content without sitting through a 30-minute video would be to get the video transcribed through an AI tool, and we'll talk about some of these later, and then feed that transcription into ChatGPT and get it to give me a summary. But we don't need to do that anymore. And like I said, I think this is Bard's biggest unique differentiator at the moment. Clearly, GPT-4 and some of the other tools out there are better at creating original content, but none of them at the time that we're filming this anyway can match Bard for its ability to serve up summaries of YouTube videos. So that's pretty cool. What else is there that you use for copywriting?
Well, there's Bing.com is kind of useful for travel plans or restaurant bookings, again, because it searches the web in real time. And the other thing we've been testing out is Anthropic for reading books for you. So you can ask any question on the content once uploaded. So I've been testing Anthropic recently, and I still prefer GPT-4, although the output from Anthropic is voluminous. It has a huge amount of volume relative to GPT-4. So, but Anthropic, instead of outputting to me, has been apologizing to me for not giving the correct output instead of actually doing the work. So I'm not sure if I'll keep that on it as one of my AI employees.
Yeah. Making excuses. Sounds like that AI is getting a bit lazy there, lazy bones. Well, we'll probably see Anthropic improve a lot over the weeks and months ahead. So it's definitely one to look at there. And the Bing one, I think that's at bing.com/new if you want to get directly to the AI version of Bing. And speaking of restaurants, I actually put that to the test, and I said, give me some nice restaurant ideas for me to go with the family. and I put Masterton, New Zealand, which is a small town, very small town in New Zealand, which doesn't have hundreds and hundreds of different restaurants, and I wanted to see what it would find, and it gave me a few good options based on current data and availability, and, opening hours, and so on and so forth. So that works pretty well. I'm looking forward to starting to use it more for travel plans and hotel reservations. Now, moving on here, what about video? Any tools that you've found that work particularly well with video for either creating video, maybe start off with specifically, I should say, creating videos?
Yeah, we like InVideo. So InVideo is something that we've used to create videos from text prompts. And again, the top tip is to use GPT-4 to create the prompts for us. What's really interesting is Runway ML, and again, video creation with prompts, but this will create like short 3-second videos, and it's still sort of at the research stage. And there's also Stable Video Diffusion, which considers itself a competitor to Runway ML. However, I still think Runway ML is light years ahead, and it from whatever small, but these are the current AI video from text sort of that we're looking at, and it's so much fun. And they're good for GIFs, by the way, and short videos as well.
Yeah. These are, I'm also, as we sit here discussing this, I know that in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, in 18 months' time, we're going to look back at what we're doing now and what we're amazed with now, and we're going to feel like it is just so prehistoric and elementary, what we're doing now. But these are the building blocks of something far more sophisticated. So imagine a time in the future where you need to make a 15 or 10-minute sales video highlighting the benefits of some new gizmo or gadget or info product that you've got. You'll be able to literally just explain what you need to one of these tools, and it will go out there and create the whole thing from start to finish. And you could also say, create it being presented by one type of a person or another type of a person, or in one language or another language, things that we're not quite at right now, but you can clearly see how tools like InVideo and Runway ML are starting to provide some frameworks and sort of act almost like building blocks, because they allow us to think outside the box and be like, oh, wow, I can make this 3-second video. But I remember about a decade ago using a tool called Animoto, and Animoto it's probably reinvented itself. I haven't used it for quite a long time now, but Animoto was a way that you could combine an audio track with some different text that would come onto the screen, which you would have to determine for yourself. Some custom images, which you would have to also choose and determine for yourself. And this was a long time before any of the current AI was even sort of imagined. But the output that it gave us was, I guess, a starting point when we start to imagine what it could be like in the future. So again, I think that idea of just thinking, imagine if you could give a 20-word or 100-word prompt to a tool that could then go out there and create you a HD quality sales video in the tone of some world famous copywriter, and spoken in Japanese to a Japanese audience. It's just mind-boggling. So I'm definitely going to look back on this episode in a year's time just to kind of compare and contrast where we're at, because I feel like we are truly in our infancy. So anyway, going off on a bit of a tangent there. What about transcription? Because I think transcription and speech to text, as they're also known, speech to text tools, something really interesting that can help all kinds of people who have got online businesses. What have you found works well here?
So they're also called natural language models. So I remember now we were talking about we were using v.io in the past, and that was very good. But then that became not free, so
Right.
we then went on to other tools like Riverside FM, which was so we use Riverside for this video, for example, and it can also we also used Loom in the past, and we now really like Otter.ai for a sort of a speech to text tool, because it has evolved quite well over the last year. We did like v.io, because it would do the whole video for us, and then do the transcription as well. And what was useful about that is that you could follow the transcription as the video was playing back. So whereas with Otter.ai, you basically you'd have to hunt through the video or hunt through the text to find the correct bit to correct or whatever. But now that it's sort of evolved quite a bit, we really Otter.ai is really quite accurate.
Yeah, we use that for all the transcriptions of this show, and we have a human still go over them as well, just to make sure that they are accurate. But I mean, I've seen that firsthand just come on in leaps and bounds in terms of how effective it is. You mentioned Riverside, so riverside.fm is the tool that we use for recording these episodes for the most part of the Growth Booth. And I would say it's a tool most similar to Zoom. However, it is designed for podcasts, and it's got lots of things that are related to that, one of them being the transcriptions. Loom was another one you mentioned. So I use Loom for recording screen capture videos for the most part. And Loom, one of the things that it does really well is automatically create subtitles with a transcription of what's being spoken in the video. And something that you alerted me to recently was the voice typing in Google Docs. Could you explain to folks what that's all about?
Yeah, so Google Docs has a feature where you can create documents. Instead of using Word, you use Google Docs. Now, within that feature, within Google Docs, you have this menu called Tools, and then you go to Tools, and you can just go to voice typing, and that will give you some free voice typing through Google Docs, and it's really quite good. Just to note as well that I've found out today that Zoom also has an AI feature, a new feature that will do speech to text as well. But I haven't
That's
tested
cool.
that out yet. I'll test that out soon.
Yeah, I've got to say the voice typing in Google Docs is phenomenal. I remember not long ago that these voice to type tools would really struggle with my accent, and I don't even have a particularly strong New Zealand accent, but nonetheless it would struggle with it. But I was testing it out recently, and it's amazing. It was nailing it. I started off speaking quite slowly and quite clearly, and I realized that it could handle that because I was seeing it happen in real time with my own eyes, and I started talking normally, and then I started speaking in an accelerated fashion, and it was just keeping up. So this is something that's really cool, 100% free, like many of the different tools that we're talking about here. And again, just to recap on that, if you're using Google Docs for writing a Word document or something, then you can go into Tools and voice typing. It'll get a little pop-up will open. As long as your microphone is turned on, or you've got speakers that have got a microphone on them, you just start talking. You click start talking, and away it goes. And there's lots of practical uses for this. Imagine if you wanted to craft an email, for example. You could use the voice to text to explain what you needed or wanted to say, and then you could turn it off, and then you could make any minor edits. There's all kinds of different ways that you could use that. I want to move on now to social media. Where are we at with AI for social media, for posting? What are the tools that you're most familiar with? And I'm sure there are dozens of them out there. We can obviously only talk about the ones that we use. But where are we at with that, Bonnie?
Well, there's a whole upgrade, if you like, to all the social media work that we have been doing, that will now create posts in volume, which is super handy. If you want to schedule posts for 2,000 days in advance, for example. So, for example, first of all, I just wanted to give a mention about Canva first, because Canva has always been the sort of background tool that people in the creative space have relied on for for creating all the templates, for creating all the graphics, basically. And now Canva has recently, back in November, had a Canva Create event, and they announced some new features to focus on reducing time and generating content at volume on social media, while also repurposing the content across several platforms. So AI art, images, templates, social media posts, etc. We can now generate multiple social media posts at a time. It has a feature, for example, called Magic Eraser, which actually erases objects in Canva. It has Magic Edit, so you can Canva will create an image based on a prompt. So it's a bit like AI art, like Magic Edit,
Yeah.
or anything like Dali or Midjourney. You've also got Magic Design, which will create a curated set of templates based on a design. So you can upload a photo and it will create designs for, say, a promotional flyer with the dimensions of whatever social media post you need. So Canva can create from one image multiple social media posts by changing the dimensions of the image. And then there's a text to image feature. So you type in your text idea and then augment it with various styles. And it's got a layers feature, which means that as you add layers to your design, each of these layers can be separated out and edited one by one, which used to be a real problem when you were using Canva, that you couldn't edit a previous
Right.
layer so easily. So, yeah.
I feel like Canva has massively upped its game in the AI space, because it's only relatively recently, that they've been able to do all of these things, and it feels to me more like a design AI version of Photoshop almost, where you've got all of these incredibly powerful tools at your fingertips to do all kinds of different things. Canva, I think they've got a free account. I've got the paid version, but I'm pretty sure they've got a free account as well. I'm not sure how much of the AI bits and pieces are free, but the paid account is pretty cheap, and it's incredible. And again, when I think back to what I used to do to create social media images, like a decade ago, and see what we can do now in just a couple of seconds, it's mind-boggling. And to my point a few moments ago, this is only just beginning. So kudos to Canva. I'm sure they're going to be getting a lot of new business as a result of their innovation here. In terms of social media as well, Hootsuite, I feel like Hootsuite have got, at the moment, a very primitive set of tools for AI. Again, this is changing all the time, but I feel like they're sort of laying the framework or the foundations, but they're not quite there in terms of what, for example, Canva can do. So Canva's got one piece of the puzzle in my mind, and Hootsuite is what we use for publishing across multiple different social media channels at once. They've got sort of another piece of the puzzle. Does that sort of is that similar in your experience?
Yeah, you can take all your output from Canva and then load it into Hootsuite to help schedule your posts. So you can create a caption from a prompt.
Right.
You can create a post from a URL. You can get tons of post ideas for from a single topic. You can repurpose your top performing content. And I think the repurposing your top performing content is one of the most interesting features. But again, I'm on the same page as you. It's not quite as it's not quite got the most bang for your buck as Canva do with its recent
Yeah.
unveiling.
It's worth taking a look at. And inside Hootsuite, they do have, it's called Owly. You'll see it when you try to create a new publication, publish a new post. It'll give the option of creating something from scratch using AI, and you can go around and play around with it. But certainly, I think Canva is the leader right now in that sort of one-stop shop for Photoshop with AI, let's say. What about staying organized? And this is something I think we continue to evolve as online entrepreneurs, online business owners. Um, what tools have you found that work well for staying organized?
Well, I used to use Asana, Monday.com, and I've tried all these ones out. But I like Notion AI these days, and because it's and what's really interesting about it is that it is both a creator platform and a platform for organizing yourself. So it's a place where you can centralize your knowledge, you can manage your projects. So it's got a project management feature where you can track your progress. You can consolidate your tools, create a mood board or a vision board. So there's a lot of functionality. It's a very flexible tool, but that flexibility comes with its own. If you could spend all day on Notion.ai. So if you're starting out with Notion.ai, I would suggest you get a template and you upload the template, and then from the template you then have your dashboard and you can navigate from there.
So what do you specifically use Notion AI for? Do you use it as a project management tool? Do you use it as some kind of a to-do list? What are you specifically using it for, or what is it designed for?
Well, people like me I'm a very creative person. So I get these ideas all the time, and I find it's handy to just park them in Notion AI. It also, if I'm doing like a project that requires repetitive work and requires me to check on loads of things, I can create a checklist with another app called Goblin.tools to streamline what I'm working on in my workday, to keep everything
Right.
one place and make sure that I complete regular and random tasks. So it's just that when you're a very creative person, I guess you've got all these ideas all the time, and to make sure that you capture them and can contain them in a certain space, so that you can dig them out and say, oh yeah, I remember that idea, and here's all that I've investigated already in that idea.
Yeah, so it's a place that you can house knowledge, thoughts, ideas, and organize it in a structured manner, I guess.
Yes, indeed. Also create mood boards or vision boards. And what's also interesting is that if you're a creator like we are, you can create templates for Notion and you can sell them on Etsy, and people will buy them. So,
That's cool.
so you can both buy and sell. So Notion is a creative space not only for yourself but for your output, and it's great for content creators. And it's
Yeah.
like a great sub niche to start working on.
That's awesome. So again, if you want to check that out for yourself, head over to notion.ai, and we will be providing all of the links to the different tools that we're mentioning here today over at the Growth Booth. Remember, navigate to thegrowthbooth.com, find episode number 104. You can get the transcripts and links to everything that we are talking about. So if you've missed a tool or you weren't quite sure what it was, then that's where you can go to find it. So To wrap up here, any last thoughts about AI and different tools that we've mentioned and ways that they can be used?
Well, I think in order to supercharge your social media branding, one of the great things you could do is to combine your tools. So, for example, you can create a prompt with GPT-4 for your ideal client. You bring in all the demographics and psychographics, so you have some sort of picture about your ideal client. Say they are a 55-year-old lady, and then you're also doing branding for like a whole new clothing range, and you're looking for colors, you're looking for styles, you're looking for what those people go for. So to feed in as much information as you can on the demographics, psychographics, and then you can ask GPT-4 for a branding strategy for this. And then my top tip is to add that branding strategy to Pinterest. So you just post it in the search bar, and you can generate a look and feel for your brand that way.
If someone is working in marketing and branding and offering this service to people, there's a lot of value in exactly what you said, because I know that we've in the past paid thousands of dollars for branding campaigns to be set up for us and delivered to us. So awesome stuff there, Bonnie. I've got a few final thoughts myself. We haven't mentioned sendpad.com. Sendpad is our autoresponder. It's got an AI email writer built into it already. If you're a Sendpad user, then you'll probably be familiar with that. If you're not, then you might want to check out sendpad.com and create a free account, create an account to get started, and check it out for yourself. So that's one thing. Another thing I think is I would recommend people to try to find ways that they can use these AI tools in their businesses to improve their businesses, but also in their lives. So, I'm getting a lot out of AI tools and using them more and more and more in my personal life, which is completely unrelated to my business. So one example of this is educational activities I can do with my kids. A while ago we sat down and we created Lego themed monsters and things like this with images, and it's incredible. I've also used it for creating short stories that my kids are able to read by telling the content AI tools to use short words that a 5-year-old could read. And my kids have then said, oh, well, I want to have a story about a fairy that does this and that and the other. And, I've done a lot of bedtime stories over the last 7 years, but I tend to, run out of imagination at some point. And I'll tell you what, these AI content creation tools, they don't run out of imagination. So now the kids are getting to the point where they're aware of this. It's out there. It's not something that is new to them. It's something that just exists. It's a little bit like how young children these days assume every single screen is going to be touch screen. So they'll see a screen, they'll pick it up and they'll try to swipe. This is something that we all had to learn. For them, it's just common sense that would happen. I can also say that I've seen the same kinds of things with smart speakers and stuff around the house. So we've got Apple speakers in our home, and you can control them by speaking to them. And watching my kids just assume that they can talk to a speaker and tell it to do something when probably the majority of speakers out there are not smart speakers. It's quite interesting. And a lot of this stuff is going to continue to grow and evolve because of AI. I would also recommend that people test things out, dive in the deep end. You can't break this stuff. You can play around with it, think outside the box. Watch a YouTube video for a demo on something. It might take 5 minutes, but then you've just leveled up in that particular thing. This AI is here to stay. We've just started scratching the surface and giving you a few ideas here. We started by talking about customer support, gave you a tool that you could use for that. Art and branding, we spoke about that a lot. Content creation and copywriting, videos, transcription, social media, organizing yourself and your content. There are so many different ways that you can leverage AI right now. And probably the biggest thing that's holding you back is you don't know what ways you can leverage it. So hopefully through this podcast episode here today, we have opened your eyes or your ears a little bit and given you a few little fire starters, if you like, to get you thinking about what you could do. So that is a wrap for this episode. Make sure you head over to thegrowthbooth.com. This is episode number 104. You can also pick up the video version over at YouTube. And I will leave you with a reminder that next week in the next episode number 105, we're going to be talking about e-commerce in 2024. And I'm going to be sharing what I believe to be the simplest and smartest approach to building an online business in 2024. I'm going to be dissecting the main e-commerce models that we use, and I'll share what I'm recommending my friends, my family get started with, and the exact model that I would use if I had to start from scratch again in 2024. So tune in next week for the next episode of The Growth Booth. Thanks for listening to us and being with us here today. Leave a comment as well on social media or send us an email, team@thegrowthbooth.com. We would love to hear about what we've missed. So Bonnie, thank you once again for tuning in here. And for those of you that don't know, Bonnie is an incredibly systematic person who has put in a lot of the different frameworks and systems in place that we use here at The Growth Booth. In fact, if it wasn't for Bonnie, this show wouldn't even exist. So thank you so much for everything you do, Bonnie, and for sharing everything that you've shared today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. That's a wrap. We'll see you on the next episode of The Growth Booth. Bye for now.